Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of NRL Unpopular Opinions, an absolutely massive weekend of rugby league to recap. Plenty of upsets. I'm your host, Ryan Cook, and joining me like he does every week is Oscar Panafex.
Let's go on. Up the wires, up the bunnies. It's a great weekend for me. I don't know about you guys, but I'm keen to dissect. Hey?
Everyone's a bit flat other than you.
Look, I got to take it, man. It's been a while since we've been top of the ladder.
Yeah, exciting times. Gerald Yao-Yee's not saying much.
Oh, I just feel like every time we lose in the fashion, the Brisbane Broncos, that is, that we lose in the fashion the way that we did, I just get depressed. Just a little bit depressed. Tried to watch it with a keen eye on the weekend and I don't know. They got folded
at the Caxton.
In that first
not
half.
A good place to watch footy with a keen eye.
Yeah, I left at half time. I was not intoxicated. I was with my partner. I just said, why don't we stop in there? Never again. Never again will I go watch, because it's a great place to go watch footy, everyone. But if you're 35 and you're coming towards the end of a date day, don't take your partner there.
Are you blaming the haircut?
Yeah, I actually, you know what? As soon as I cut it, I was like, this could be something.
It's bad juju.
It's bad juju. So, I also cut somewhere else as well. So maybe you'll need to grow those back.
I don't know. Does that grow back?
I didn't cut it off.
You've heard him already. It's Liam Fogarty.
Hello, boys. Yeah, very, very stark reminder how much your team losing impacts your mental health.
Isn't it crazy? Like, look how happy you are.
We had a hell of a day on Saturday with Bub, and my dog's got a broken leg at the moment as well. And I can't remember how many times I said on Saturday morning, I was like, Bunnies better win today.
I need this
Just
more than
last
anything.
And look, I'm still up.
You out,
48 hours later, I'm still up.
I actually turned it off on Saturday night. I couldn't. Last 10 minutes, I just couldn't do it.
I'm going to be brutally honest. I didn't watch the rest of the footy over the week. I didn't watch yesterday's games.
Didn't miss
Don't think, Eels, Tigers, we'll skip that.
I heard about how bad it was. Anyway, we'll probably touch on that one.
Wow.
We might have to do a bit of lifting on that one when we get to it.
It is hard backing up on a Monday after your team's lost, that's for sure. Let's dive into the weekend that was. We're going to go game by game this week, something a little bit different. So we'll rewind all the way back to Thursday night. Newcastle 26, my Dolphins 12. Geez, they look very, very flat, the Phins.
Yeah, you're deflated too.
I went too. I wasn't expecting to be at this point, but things are looking pretty dire already, I think, for the Phins.
Yes.
The attack looks absolutely atrocious. The effort level just looks really bad. Wolfie doesn't have a lot of answers in the post game. He doesn't give a lot away, I don't think. But Newcastle, on the flip side, very impressive. Kalen Ponga, a one-man show in that first half. Jeez, he was good. AOB looked great as well. Are we buying what Newcastle's selling here? 2-0 to start the season?
What is the curse of the wooden spoon, chat? I've given them the wooden spoon at the start of the year for a bold prediction, and they've gone 2-0. I know it's a long season, but KP is a special footy player, and he's just hanging around that ruck and sniffing around the short side a lot. I mean, if you love your analysing the game of rugby league, that's basically what he does. He's filling up. He's counting numbers and just filling up really late, and by the time he gets somewhere, it's really hard to defend. It's very, very hard to defend. And look, the Dolphins didn't help that they weren't great. They defended a lot in that first half. And they capitalised the Knights.
Yeah, I think you put in the group chat, Ryan, with about 20 to go. It's like, shit, are the Knights actually good this year? I'm pretty cool on them still. I think Kalen Ponga had 20 minutes of insanity to start the game. Suddenly it was 20-0, and then 60 minutes later it was 26-6 against a Dolphins side whose discipline and defence was awful. They had 4 play-the-ball penalties, which is a sign that some things aren't right in terms of what they've been working on during the week or during the off-season. Little, details like that.
2 by Jerry Marshall King, who's your senior leader as well.
Yeah, well said.
He needs to sort of step up there in those moments.
It just shows they're not focusing on... They're not putting detail and emphasis on those little aspects of the game that really add up. Like, you're right, their attack was poor and their defence was poor as well, but it was the discipline and their effort and the things that they were putting their effort into. We really need to, I think, reassess where the Phins are at this year. Based on, it's only been 2 weeks, so there's plenty of time, and they're missing some guys. But I think that's probably forced a bit of a reassessment. And then for the Knights, they're a hard team to bet on because they weren't that good, but KP won them the game for free. So, yeah, it's a tricky one to assess for me.
AOB said after the game, he spoke about Kalen being first receiver.
Yep.
And then when they sort of got into that, like Dylan Brown kind of weird Ponga troll chat afterwards, which we can.
He's such a dry, like I said,
love it, man.
I said
So
this
good.
in our WhatsApp group. I said, he's just so dry.
Yeah.
Like how he's always been, like if you've ever met, like when you meet him, he's sort of a dry character as it is. So what you're seeing there is that's normal KP. And a lot of people would just be like, "Oh, well, he's just taking the piss." Nah,
Yeah, what a smart ass.
that's he's not a smart. That's literally how he would act in that situation. He doesn't. I'm not sure if he's very good at putting it on, but yeah, he obviously was taking the piss a lot, slightly. But yeah, his dry, very cool demeanor was very funny to watch in the after the game.
It was like watching the unpopular kid at school ask the cool kids if they could
Yeah.
hang out
Yeah.
at lunchtime. It was just like,
Well, I didn't play good. You didn't see me.
I look
You
happy,
watch
don't I?
it. Now thinking about it again, I'm just like, what was he? But I love it because you know what? We don't. I don't think we always go. Oh, we don't have enough characters in our game. We don't. Like people have, because of social media, you get smashed, right? But bring on the presses like this. You're like these. There's been a couple of good
There were
ones.
some spicy ones this
Yeah, there's some really good ones
Shout
over the
out
weekend.
Flano.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll get to Flano in a minute. Did you ever have like a troll with reporters or anything in your career? Like,
Oh, I
you
mean,
played a
like,
pretty straight bat?
Not a straight back. I remember I said something stupid, and from back page of the paper, I said, I think it was in my second year, I said
gonna be good.
I was going to, I've said in the preseason, I've just been, I've had a little bit of time off the drink, and back page, Peter Bedell, booze band, Yowie, crossed arms, like I put myself on a booze band. So then I can't go and drink anywhere.
I was going to say, was the inset a photo of you down and skewing?
No, and then it's like, so once you say it in the media and they put it out there, all the older boys is like, you're an idiot, now you can't drink.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, fuck. So yeah, I've said stupid shit before that, but I learned from that one, and I gave people nothing after that, which it sucks because they can twist your words here and there, but we need more characters in the game, and I love these press conferences. Bring them on. They're good.
I totally agree. I love it. Just love when the media gets wound up like that. It's good to see.
Hmm.
Before we move on to Friday night, would you guys be more confident in the Knights finishing top 4 or the Phins finishing bottom 4?
Phins bottom 4, surely.
Yeah. I don't think Newcastle have enough in them. I actually don't. Yeah, I actually don't think they've played a side yet that has been able to test them either.
Yep.
Like they've only won. What did they win last week? They only won by 2 points against the Tigers.
Yeah.
And they only won by 14 points against the Dolphins, who haven't not even close to hitting their straps as well. So they'll be. When are they? They'll be
They got
tested.
the Titans this weekend.
And it's pretty much
Then they
even
gotta
money
buy.
at this point.
Yeah.
Yep.
They'll be tested this weekend, I think, against the Titans because, Gold Coast had a good second half yesterday. I'd say I didn't watch some footy, but I watched the highlights. And they
KO Mini, shout out.
Yeah, KO Mini. But, yeah, Newcastle, I still think they've got their hands full this year.
Let's skip ahead to Friday afternoon. Warriors 36, Manly 16.
Oh.
This
Let's go on, baby. Up the Wars.
Yeah, kicked off
man.
a weekend of upsets for us. Warriors.
We were upset, my God.
I was scared for my friend in this game, okay? I was really scared for my friend.
What are we?
Where are they?
I thought the Wars defended pretty well, created a lot of chances, and things could have got out of hand early in that game. Manly squandered a few opportunities themselves, I thought.
And then the bunker gave him a few back.
Yeah.
They did.
I think there was 3 no tries that were given tries.
Yeah.
Just maybe the internet's poor over here in New Zealand. They're getting a poor frame rate to the
They're going to get
bunker.
480p, man.
That's
It was
awesome.
difficult to see.
There were some pretty horrendous ones. I thought the bunker missed.
I thought after the game, the Wars sort of said that they had to play a bit more like themselves, and they did that. We didn't see that in Vegas. They looked completely disjointed. And then Manly's ill discipline was the real big story. So many set restarts, 39 missed tackles, 12 errors. Are we worried about Manly? Because last year, this was the story, the whole year, that they'd have a really big win and then they'd be disappointed next week. You just can't trust them. And it feels like that's the stuff.
It's a perfect example of you can never get ahead of yourself. It's the first 10 rounds of rugby league. I know we have to be here every week contractually. and we have to talk about footy every week, and we've got to give our takes, but at the end of the day, we're not going to really figure out where teams are until about round 10.
Yeah.
That's just normal. Happens every single year. You can see people get off to a great start and then they shit the bed. That's happened with your team a lot of the time, or the other way around. They have got off to a bad start and they've come good. So I don't know how to take Manly. Was it a short turnaround for them? Was it a
little bit?
Yeah,
It's Saturday night into Friday.
Did they give a lot last week? They give a lot in Brookie, and did they just not the energy that they?
Bit of a come down.
Because I think if you're Saturday in Brookie, you've got to leave on. If you're playing on a Friday,
early.
you would have left on a Wednesday. So it's not a lot of time. I know it's only early in the season, but maybe they just haven't got that down pat yet. And they didn't look like the team from round one. That's for sure. And another injury to bloody Tom Travojevic. Like. He just can't.
It's brutal.
He just cannot get through. It just feels like every single year he's going to miss 2 or 3 weeks. And I know this one's only small.
Best case scenario, 2 or 3 weeks.
And then the other my long-necked friend who
Is he all right? Do we know?
it looks like Shagger's back, right? Like he's just spasming. You know what? I think
The strain from his neck muscles.
I did hear. Well, I did hear because I asked him, but he said what happened first. He hurt his calf. So I think he was trying to
change his running game or
Yeah, I
something.
think he was trying to just use other muscles that
Like favouring his other leg.
favouring something, and that's what gave him. I think it's sciatica. I think it's called. I think they call it sciatica. So if you've ever had sciatica, I don't know if you have. It's the worst.
That's an
Nerve
old
pain.
It's like you stand up and you just literally fall down.
Yeah, it's not
like
good.
you can't do anything about it. So I think he'll be fine. I mean, he's very old. He's a brittle man, that Daly Cherry Evans. So I don't even think he'll have a week off. I think
it
he'll be
looks
back
scary,
fine.
man.
Yeah, it did. It didn't look good. I was scared. Like I said to you, I was scared for my friend. I messaged him immediately and just said, "I hope you're all right, buddy." And he goes, "No, I'm all good."
But then if he's all good, then the mayo he's put on it needs to be called out because you thought he'd just ended his
don't
career
worry.
with that.
Don't
injury.
worry, I'm still in a group chat.
It'll be clipped up.
I'm still in the Vegas Bucks Party group chat, so I've given it to him. Because there's a picture of him. And I've just screenshotted it.
Take him out the
And it's
back
just
and
like
shoot
that.
him.
You can voice record Fogg saying that and send it to him if you really want.
No, we won't get Fogs in trouble anymore. It's happened too many times over the years.
Too many footy players hate me already.
Haters. Tater tot.
Warriors looked pretty quick on attack. They were impressive. Was that just a case of them playing well in front of their home fans? What are you taking away from that, Oscar?
Yeah, I think the comments that Webby made about them getting into their footy, I think that's telling. I think we saw Wade Egan really control their attack from dummy half. We know they've got. We spoke last week. Chanel Harris-Tavita and Luke Metcalf are running halves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not to say they can't ball play, but I think their best attributes are both running games. And I think there's evidence that Wade Egan's taken a lot of control of their attack, a lot of little tip shapes, similar to the Raiders, a lot of little not set pieces, but little shapes and tips and drops and variations around the ruck. And then guys like Fisher Harris, Barnett, Aaron Clark, Dylan Walker can all tip a little pass as well. They had a lot of joy punching through the middle third in this game.
Yeah.
And I think that took away the Warriors' dominance around the ruck, took away any ruck speed that Manly had, which then meant all their shifts were played off the back foot at a rushing defensive line. We saw Tom make a couple of errors in the first half before he come off, I think just from the defensive pressure that the Warriors applied. So, yeah, I think that was probably close to a better version of the Wars attack and how we're going to see them play this year and just vice versa for Manly. They just got beaten where they need to dominate is in the ruck in order to get Tommy over the advantage line.
When they win the field position battle, they're still a scary side, I think, the Wires.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead to Friday night. Another upset. Penrith 32, Roosters 38.
The heck? Yeah.
Not just another upset, the second biggest upset from a betting perspective.
What were the odds, Fogs?
Yeah.
I think they were $11 flat, and then after the first try to Alamotti, it blew out to $25 in live betting.
Yep.
But it's
$25.
Since 2009, when they started tracking it properly, that was the biggest upset by a team.
Wow.
Second biggest, yeah.
Wow.
It was the other one was a Titans game, wasn't it?
It was Broncos over the Roosters in 2021, and that was 11.55.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Good
Yeah,
stats there
madness.
from
It's a
Fox.
great, yeah.
Look, I think we saw a lot of young Panthers players make system errors and individual errors that we just haven't seen from Penrith over the last 5 years. A single example, without going into it too deep, Casey McLean has, I think, 3 catch errors, which is, not the standard that Penrith have set, not the standard that Casey set for himself in the limited game time that we've seen of him. And then credit to the Chooks, they punished just about every error that Penrith made. So, yeah, I mean, Robbo got him up for it. We talked about Trent Robinson and the Easts last week. We said they were going to be there or thereabouts by the end of the year. A lot of people calling for Robbo's head after that round 1 loss.
Wow.
But, that's evidence. I mean, he talked to one of their guys was... I can't even remember his name right now, but one of them was on a job site the next morning at 7 a.m. pouring concrete.
Outstanding.
And he's just beaten the 4-time defending champs
What a battler.
the night before. So, yeah, full credit to the Chooks, I think. What a battler.
What
Wow,
about
spoken like a man. Who's had a lot of early starts on the job site, right?
This podcast game is really hard, boys. It's really
46
tough.
missed tackles by Penrith. Like 46 mixed tackles, that's unheard from them. Their errors were something like 13 errors, which is crazy. 71% completion rate, which I don't even remember the last time they would have gone close to a 60% completion rate. So they've had a bad day at the office.
And they still almost won.
And they still almost won, like crazy. And if you're going to get your shit games out of the way, you want to do it early in the season. So, but yeah. Wonder how the bookies were. Not good.
Oh, yeah, I'd need to have a look, but I
Yeah.
feel like the bookies might have lost a bit of coin there.
I would imagine so,
On the same game multis, plenty of try scorers. Big upset, obviously.
Yeah, it looks like for punters this year, tries, like, it just seems like,
There's a
I
lot
know
of
it's early, but there's a lot of points being scored.
Yeah.
And we, as fans, I love to see it, but when your team's getting scored on,
But I can't there's a million tries, but I can't get near one. Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
it's the best.
At Cam Munster.
Yeah. I've got a few. Hammer on Thursday night. And he had that one
got
taken
pulled
off
back,
me. I would have won
which
big.
I thought, I didn't like the call. I understand the,
can't remember
around it. Oh, well, they split, both markers split each side.
Felice got him.
He's gone the way, so Boston's
Jane
gone
Cage
that
went-
way,
yeah.
and he's gone that way. So he was never really getting there.
No. They called
anyway,
obstruction on it.
Said it like a
we could just
basketball
go on
screen.
that. Yeah.
Ivan Cleary kind of said afterwards that the Panthers don't start well every year, basically. They do have these little hiccups. I liked his honesty, though, after that game. He kind of you rarely get a coach come out and say, we didn't get off the bus, basically.
Yeah, true.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't say that.
He didn't
I didn't
say,
see
not
this
those
one.
exact words, but that's kind of what he was
I
getting
think
at.
he said we lost this game before it started.
Yeah, before it happened. Yeah.
I wonder, as a coach, I mean, you probably can see preparation, and they've been pretty elite for the last 5 years, right? Well, and more. So it's crazy that he is seeing that before they, they get to the game. Maybe that's in their team run. Maybe that's in their preparation to get on the bus. It's pretty crazy to see that, because I could imagine Penrith, distraction-wise, there'd be music on the bus. There'd be music off the bus. So how do you know?
Yeah.
What can
What's
you
he
see?
picking up on?
What can you see that is different to a normal day for them? Because, I mean, I like that style of how they get ready for a game, because it takes you away from footy.
Yep.
But there's also, obviously, maybe there's kids coming through who are not used to
Yeah.
that type of getting ready and, getting ready to go to war. So that might be something that they have to talk about, but it's crazy to see that he's
Do you
saying
reckon
that.
they bought into it at all? It's like, we're just going to shit in against the Chooks, and maybe took prepreparation a bit
I don't know.
more
I just-
casual?
After that first try, I think.
It's so
Yeah.
hard to think about Penrith in a negative way. Like, I don't know how to think about them in a negative way, because when you're as perfect as they've been for so long, even on their bad days we just spoke about, they only lost by 6 points.
Yeah.
So, and
Shit day, they've dropped 32 on a team.
yeah, and dropped 32, but probably, I don't know, they almost won it, like right on the death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they almost go to extra time. And if the bookies are out there and it goes to extra time, who do you think you're taking? You're taking Penrith, because Cleary just gets ice in his veins and he kicks it from 50 out. So it's crazy to think that we're talking about them and they didn't prep right and they still put 32 on someone.
Cleary did say this team never knows when it's beaten, and that second half was a pretty obvious example of that.
Yep.
Let's move on to Saturday. Dragons 24, Rabbits 25. Geez, I'm glad the multi was dead by this point, and I couldn't have been happier because I had the Dragons to win as our third leg. A few missed tackles from South's nice and early, and it kind of looked like it wasn't going to be the Bunnies' day. But then those last 10 minutes, it was just all South Sydney. Momentum completely shifted.
Yep.
Oscar, you spoke earlier about Flano's post-game presser. Pretty keen to get into that because his comments were scathing for a few players.
Yeah.
But I'll let you take it away here. Talk about South, why they're winning it all.
Victory lap.
I don't know if they're
I said they would be 0-4 or possibly 0-5.
You did.
And they've come out of the blocks. The Uncle Wayne effect.
I was going to say there's one reason why we're 2-0 to start the year, and that's Wayne Bennett.
Yep.
I think these are two games that South Sydney would not have even got close to winning last
Before you get into Shane Flanagan and you pumping up your own tyres of your own team, I'll give you an opportunity to pump someone. Jai Gray, does I need to ask the question, and you probably can answer as well. Does Latrell Mitchell come back into the side at fullback, or does he move into the centres?
He's got to be nervous.
I honestly think that they are disrupting so much if they put him back there and take Jai Gray out of this side.
Look, it's going to be a conversation that will happen until Trell's back. In my opinion, I think Trell's straight back in the one. I think for all of the good that Jai Gray is doing, phenomenal. 300 metres, I think he ran in this one, 250 the week before.
He's averaging
300 metres for his little legs.
Yeah.
He has to work so much harder.
And he's tough as
right now. Like Travojevic only has to take, the steps wise to what his steps are. It's insanity. So
Someone get a step count on this kid.
I'm pretty sure Jai Gray was a Bronco.
Was he?
I think.
He was a Queensland boy.
Yeah, I think he was a junior
played for
Bronco.
Runaway Bay. I know that one.
I honestly got a
Really?
feeling. I've got a feeling that he might have been in our academy.
He's definitely
So that's why he's
Queensland
good.
eligible.
Yeah, nice. Look,
There you go.
Yeah.
The one criticism, even if you want to call it that at this point, he doesn't have a passing game. And in 2 games to start the year, he's probably left 2 or 3 tries each game out there just because he swings around the back of the shape. He burns whoever's in front of him because he's so quick over 10 metres.
Yep.
He's not drawing and passing the winger. He almost bombed one to Ty last week. He can develop that maybe, but he is not a natural ball player.
No.
And South Sydney's best attacking attribute is Latrell Mitchell in 3-on-2s and his passing game. So I think Jai will end up in the 14 when Trell's back and Latrell will be at 1. But yeah, I can also understand where all the arguments are coming
It's great for his stock. Like the way he's playing right now, I don't think he'll be the Rabbitohs long.
Yeah, interesting take.
Because he's playing at a high level, and he's a little bit like
Someone will grab him.
Yeah, someone will pick him up. Like you talk about people that don't have ball skills that play at fullback. Yeah, you need it. But if you can. He's like just a little weasel. Like he's just hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
Like you can't touch him. He's got spiders on him.
You don't think he can do a job in the centres for you guys?
Trell?
No, Jai Gray.
Nah, I wouldn't put
I think he's just a little bit too small.
And
Defensively, if you're putting if I talk about the Broncos, if you're putting a Tony Staggs on him, Tones will just run over him.
But was it Tui Pilotu that he stopped on that breakaway? Like he's got it.
Great. His tackle technique's excellent, but I think in that example, if that's in a centre situation and Tui Pilotu's the centre, Jai hits him low, chops his legs
Quick
out,
play the ball.
and it's an offload or it's a quick play the ball. Yeah. So
I think Flano highlighted that post game. That was like the one positive was that tackle he was talking about.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
Let's jump into that. Look, I don't even know where to start, really.
If you haven't seen it, punters, go watch Shane Flanagan's 4-minute presser on NRL.com because it is all time.
If you're talking about honesty, this was as honest as it gets. He said, "You wouldn't want to be one of my players for the next 10 or 12 days. The Dragons do have the bye this coming week."
That's brutal.
Big trouble.
totally.
I didn't realise that.
Jeez.
And then when he asked why Cookie wasn't at the post-game presser, he kind
Cookie
of...
or Gutho.
Yep. He said Cookie's got a head knock.
And Gutho tried hard.
Gutho tried hard, and that was about it. And then he went on to say, "We just need more from everyone."
Isn't that blow isn't he just taking the piss out of himself because he got those guys there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
It's just Flano on brand. If he wants to be mad, if he's mad at something, he'll take it to the house.
And you know what? I would never judge. I don't know him. But I've heard some things about him, specifically from a person that I know. Not a big fan. But
Gee, I wonder who that is.
I got a feeling like I want them to lose every week now. So the presses are like this. Do you know what I mean?
Entertainment factor.
Because he's not happy when they win. Like, give us losing Dragons every single week just to watch the press. All right, let's rip into this every Monday.
Did you ever cop something like that after a loss from one of your coaches?
Oh,
publicly?
man. No, probably not publicly, but I'm happy to go put this on the record because I get sprayed only from my past teammates about this, mostly by Jack Reed. But who was a Knights winger? Anyway, I got 5 put on me and I got hooked when I was playing for the Bronx.
Uarte?
No.
Oh, no, Ross Dog.
No. He went to rugby union, who we're talking about. Anyway, I can't remember his name, and I don't want to remember it anyway. But they put 5 on me on my wing, and I was only young at the time, but I got hooked. And it was Anthony Griffin wasn't the coach at the time; he was the assistant coach, and he was on the bench, and I was like, why am I getting taken off? And he's like, well, I think we know. I had a week off back at North the week after that and learned a lesson, but I've never been sprayed in a presser. I mean, when do wingers get sprayed in pressers? Like,
It's pretty funny.
if they do,
How bad a game you'd have to have.
I hope one of these wingers from the Dragons have a shit one the week after.
So what do you reckon the next 10 days looks like for those Dragons boys from an old player's
Great
perspective?
question.
Today would be they'll be getting flogged today. Like, they'd be getting absolutely flogged today, yeah. No, there'd be no mincing the words. He'd be on the line. There'd be Broncos. There'll be broken Broncos. There'll be, yeah. It'd be a really tough week to be a Dragons.
What would be worse?
Actually, it'd be a tough life to be a Dragon.
What would be worse, the Dragons' fitness sessions this week or the Dragons' video sessions?
Yeah, I think
this week?
video sessions, like, physically.
Nowhere to hide.
Yeah, physically, like, you can be out there with your friends and just be like, we were shit, like, let's do this together. But when you're in that room and you're getting outed, it's sickening. It's like a real sickening feeling, boys. I can't stress enough how hard it is. You don't want to be there, believe me.
How long does a video session last?
Well, for them,
He's like this.
it could be 12 days.
Feature length film.
He said 12 days, so he's giving them no water and food. They've just been locked in that room.
Cruel
for 12
and
days.
unusual.
Yeah. Yeah, no one wants to be doing that. Cowboys 12, Sharks 36. I think the Cowboys' best period in this game was when they were a man down. Yeah, Oscar, you famously went on the record and said the Cows would finish with the spoon, and you'd be feeling pretty good about that right now.
You cop it as well.
Feel great.
Who did you copper by?
I feel great.
Not us.
The
I don't
comment
feel
section.
great about.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't feel great about saying a team's not going to do well, but I feel great about the value.
What'd they
of it.
say about me then?
Oh, it's very handsome.
Yeah,
Gun footy player.
So-
Not lying.
There we go. Cows are now $4.50. Second line of betting.
Where do you find these markets?
For
I
the
can't
spoon.
find this stuff, man.
So
They-
Parramatta Eels $4 are favourites, and then the
okay.
Cows are $4.50, and then the Phins $6.
Fins have come in a lot too.
Phins are dropped. So yeah, Cows was $17 3 weeks ago when I got on.
And you got on, didn't you?
I put a bit of money on it. Yeah, it's worrying that the chat's getting louder around Todd Payton. I don't know if they'll get rid of him.
Full support of the board.
Maybe. He had such a good first year there that I think it's easy to remember the team that he assembled in that first season defensively and effort.
Well, they
areas.
went close,
So
didn't they?
good.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they finished second or
Yeah,
third that
yeah.
year. And then since that year, all the things that were so good about that season, that's been their worst attributes ever since.
Yep.
Passive middle, no inside pressure, disconnected edges.
Missed
So,
tackles.
yeah, it's shaping to be a long season for Todd and the Cowboys. I think he even said in the press that he's going to have to bring some of those guys back.
Yep.
We knew Nanai would be back sooner rather than later. But yeah, it's not good when you're dropping a guy of his status to make a point and then you get another 30 put on you and the similar issues are happening. So yeah, sorry Cows fans.
Do you have some questions for their strength and conditioning? Because there's a lot of times where they don't look fit over the last 2 weeks.
say something to their strength and conditioning.
No, look at me. I'm not the guy to be talking shit about S&Cs. Maybe it's the cattle. I mean, Tamalolo we always use as an example. Just physically, he's just not there. Not from an S&C point of view.
Yep.
Just from an availability and an age and a wear and tear point of view. I think Jesse McLean probably fits that category a bit as well. There's only so much Ruben Cotter can do in the middle of the field, is there?
Yeah, he didn't have a lot to say post-game either.
Yeah, and Todd Payton's history for them, they've gone, well, when he was with Dean Young, they came 15th, they went 3rd, they went 11th last year, the year before, and 5th last year. So history says that they fall out of the 8 this year.
Yep.
They go on one, off one, on one, off one.
So I think they were lucky to finish 5th last year. I think it papered over a lot of these issues that we're seeing now. Scott Drinkwater is such a good attacking player, but he needs a bit like Manly. I mean, it applies to any rugby league team.
Yeah.
You need to win the ruck for your attacking players to have an influence on the result. And yeah, Drinky's just not getting as many looks as he was last year.
Yep. I thought the Sharks easily could have put up 50 on them. They squandered a few chances.
I think they left a lot of points out there.
They did.
They didn't look as good as we've seen them in the past, so it could have been a lot uglier.
I don't think they wanted to use too much energy. They wanted to go to the mad cow.
It was
after.
stinking up there.
True. Drinks breaks.
Who was saying something? I heard one of the callers go, "Oh, it's your mate." That was calling.
Oh no!
Oh no!
They were saying that they had ice in a bucket down there, and it's turned into. He's like, "Oh, I'm looking for a cup of tea." I don't know. Blocker. That's
Blocker.
What it was, yeah.
Shout out! Me think it amazing. Are you serious?
Let's move on. What are we going to do? We staying on that one, or we're going?
Let's go Raiders 32, Broncos 22. The one that we do want to talk about. The group chat was lit for this one. Bit of an aggressive Ricky Stewart masterclass, similar to what Wayne Bennett put on earlier the same day. I think Gerald, or maybe it was you, Fogs, you were a little bit nervous about this game because the Raiders do tend to play the Broncos quite well, and that was the case.
Down there, I think history beckons that we don't play well in Canberra.
I think we put 50 on them at Suncorp last year, but every other sort of game the last 2 or 3 years, they've really either made us work hard for it or they've done what they did last night, or Saturday night rather. I think Corey Horsburgh shooting out of the line sort of 5 minutes in to put that big shot on kind of set the tone, and they just bashed us early and we never really found an answer for it. It was just grim.
And you know what? It's good for Queenslanders all out there because we need to see him humming.
Yeah.
Because if he's going to be playing like that, then he's right in the conversation of playing Origin this year, and that's something good out of it if you're a Broncos fan and you're a Queenslander.
25 minutes.
Yeah, it would be. And you know what? When he gets angry, he cries. Like he's emotional. Like
So good.
It's the best. I love that too. Like it makes me.
He'll throw one as well. If he's
Like-
in an orange jersey, he'll let him go.
Yeah, 100, and I love that.
Yeah.
But look, if we're talking about that moment, I think that's where they set the standard, and that's the reason why the Broncos had so many errors. I think they had no time to think about what they were doing, a lot of pressure on them, and by the end of the game, they finished with 64 completion rate. Like that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible, and they'll look at that this week, and I feel sorry for the Cows because if they win this game, they probably come into the 4X Derby, probably a tiny bit underdone, but I'm worried about the Cows now because I think it's going to be a shellacking this week because they'll get a kick up the bum from this. But they were trying to score points at the end, and that's where I think most of their errors started to come towards the end as well. But you can't play catch-up footy, especially with a side like Ricky's when they started the season off very well. I take nothing away from the Raiders. I think they have played the first 2 rounds to a T.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Perfect. Game plan in Las Vegas was perfect for the narrow fields. All the offloads they threw, put so much fatigue into the Warriors' middle and then just won it from there. And then here, like, the Raiders are so good. It's almost like Penrith levels in terms of the Panthers are so good at controlling a game and dictating the tempo, dictating what sort of game it is. They keep the ball in play a lot. They dominate field position. They don't worry about scoring points as long as they're hanging out in your half. Canberra are equally as good at turning games into this scrappy, gritty shit fight. Heaps of stops, heaps of balls going out and changeovers because they're whacking blokes, so there's errors all the time. They're packing scrums. And yeah, like 2 weeks in a row now, they've put 30 points on the scoreboard. I've spoken about the Raiders
They ran with
unorthodox.
intent. Like they run with a lot of intent when they run too.
And you said they look so fit and physical.
Yeah, you boys said in the chat, you're like, they'll gas out. Like, they'll gas out.
Well, usually they
just didn't.
They usually do.
That's been the case.
That's been the case with them, hasn't it? So, what have they figured out? I think Ricky and their S&Cs have figured out. Well, we probably need to take a bit of put off these boys, so they've got a bit extra in them, and they still don't even have their biggest boy back yet, Tarpana.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They did that without Tarps and without Xavier Savage as well.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, they're playing some really good footy. Can they keep it up for the whole year? That's the question. We're only round 2, and I think they really put a statement in their forward pack on the Broncos forward pack, and it's going to be real juicy to see that match up again later in the year. Do they come to Suncorp? Usually they do.
I assume so.
I'll
have to have a look.
So. That'll be crossed off on the calendar for Paddy Carrigan, for Payne, that they got beaten through the middle. So I think they'd be, good on them. They're playing some. I actually was frustrated to watch, but I was like, geez, they're playing good. Yeah, it's good to watch.
It's a brand of football I'd really enjoy if it wasn't against my Broncos.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a brand of footy, their attack, that's not repeatable. It's very unorthodox. Most teams will find spots on the field, set up in a shape, designed to hit a certain defender, and then if that doesn't work, then they'll set again and they'll have another shot. Canberra just play, for want of a better word, eyes up footy all the time. But it's 2 weeks in a row now they've put 30 points on the scoreboard, which is something they haven't been able to do consistently with that brand of attack. But, whether it's just been a perfect storm for the first 2 weeks, I think, Gerald, what you said before, by round 10, we're going to get a better idea. Is this the same gritty, tough Raiders team that'll just always be there thereabouts, or have they actually found a bit of class and a bit of consistency and repeatability in their attack? Jamal Fogarty, Sebastian Chris, KO Weeks, Ethan Strange. There's some really nice looks there. So yeah, they're an interesting watch for the next. There was
a lot of things that they were there on bigger plays. Like every time a ball went up or every time a bounce went the other way, you can say that they got the bounce, but they were there. They were there in numbers. They were there at the right times. They just wanted it a little bit more than the Bronx, I think, over the weekend. And talking about Penrith, I mean, Broncos still came back and, almost challenged in that last little bit. So you've still got to have a fight in the dog. You have to make sure that you don't let those games, because it could have been a blowout. It could have been 40-50 on them without any points, but they fought back a little bit there. So that, if you can take something out of that, Broncos fans, take that out of it.
A few little betting moves for the Raiders as well. You can still take 41 for them to win the premiership. I don't think anyone's taken that, but $2 top 8. That's shortened a lot since that win over Brisbane.
I don't mind that value.
Yeah, it's still value for sure. Let's get to Sunday. Eels 6, Tigers 32. Good for you if you made it through the full 80 minutes here, because I sure didn't.
Yeah, neither did I.
I rewatched most of it. I rewatched most of it. I was watching it on the treadie yesterday, and all I could hear was Cooper Cronk just pizzling them about the errors. Like there was just error upon error upon error. And geez, if you listen to the call yesterday, they were just giving it to him. That was not good. I don't know how many errors were in the game, but it is nice to see the West Tigers, put points together. Even though it was a shit game. Honestly, we're being honest. It was a shit game to watch. It was an ugly game to watch. But 32 points in an ugly game, if you're a Tigers fan, when was the last time they put that much points on someone? Been a minute.
Another great question.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
When they smoked the Cowboys last year or the year before? Remember Stafford Toa put 40 on
that does sound familiar.
And you know what? Even looking at these stats now, it must have been everything in the first half.
The first half
was terrible.
I don't know if they could get. I don't know if we got 2 completed sets in a row in the first half.
27 errors.
There you go.
Well,
so it would have been in the first half.
Look at the 14 errors, 9 penalties, 3 ruck infringements, 1 inside 10-metre penalty. That's for the Tigers, who scored 32 points and won the game.
They completed at 80%, and they put 32 points. You know what I mean? But it just seemed like the first half was like, stick something down my throat and let me vomit.
On that note, let's get to the next game.
If Parrag were to get relegated, how do you reckon they go in New South Wales Cup? Like, genuine question.
Middle of the table.
I don't reckon they make their side.
They get dropped to the
I think whoever's playing in the
Pub
Reggies
comp.
that week plays that
Regis
game.
just holds the jersey.
Holds the jersey, yeah.
Let's chat. Bulldogs 40, Gold Coast Titans 24. Disappointing showing from Gold Coast, particularly in that first half. They still just look a little bit lost defensively. Attacking-wise, they're okay, but still some headaches there for Des Hasler.
Did they regularly have shit starts to games last year as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Did
they
they?
did, and they finish all strong.
And then they come good.
been an issue since 2008.
For a while?
I think.
Yeah, okay.
Just Gold Coast.
That long?
Gold Coast sport is cursed,
Yeah.
man.
Marcelo Montoya, first minute goes over. And then, 3 tries in the first 15 minutes. And then they managed to stop the rod a little bit.
And there's that
largely
weak
because
gutted
Kickow and
dog
Matty Burton
forward.
went off, which pretty much killed the Dogs' attack.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, once there was a bit of fatigue into the game and they were able to generate some ruck speed, we saw Brimo, JC, and Keanu Kinney. That fucking try.
Isn't he hot? Like the way he moves, when you could, there's obviously way you stop him by not giving him space, but Jesus Christ, when he is so light on his feet, and that try that he set up, or did he?
Jojo.
Yeah, for Jojo. Yeah, no, he didn't score it, but geez,
3 touches, I think he had, from his 20-metre line to the try line.
get me in my
busy.
sleep.
Yeah.
Like I'll dream of that stuff. That is real nice. So like there's signs of attacking wise for them to be good, but you can't come out round one. You shouldn't be coming out round one and have 40 put on you.
Do
like
you
they
think
did.
because they had the bye round one, like they were a bit slow to get out of the blocks? You know, the Dogs have had an extra week of footy under their belt.
Yeah,
I think that caught them by surprise. or
No,
something?
because I mean, I think if you give a Penrith or a Melbourne or someone else that is, I don't think it's an
You
excuse.
just said it. They've been slow starters since
Yeah.
2008.
I just don't think it's an excuse. You should, if you have a week off, you get a week more to prepare. Yes, they might have been a little bit underdone playing rugby like footy, but they would have had scrimmage games. Like they would have put themselves through their paces. So I think they should have been ready. It is hard to go to Belmore though.
I was going to say,
That
tough
was
road game.
It is a tough road to go away. Like if they were starting at home, maybe they would have been a bit better. But look, there's going to be a lot of points this year. We keep saying it, and they were still able to put 24 points on the Bulldogs, who defensively were supposed to be one of the best defensive teams last year. So, I mean, is this where the game's going? Where we're just defensively, everyone's just throwing it out the window and let's score the most points.
Yeah, the numbers are interesting. Stats don't always paint the full picture, but
No.
Mo Fodawaker, 5 missed tackles, Reg, 4 missed tackles, and Tino, 5 missed tackles. So they're 3 big bodies, which we spoke about were going to be a point of difference for them, for better or for worse, this year. They were spotted in defence. I think Reg gave away a couple of high penalties, which put them under a lot of field position pressure, defending on their line, because it's just such a big body. And when you've got guys changing directions, especially smaller bodies like the Bulldogs employ through the middle of the field, I think those big bodies were targeted in that Titans pack, and probably for the worse in this one.
And just on the Dogs, Matt Burton and Kickow done for a month.
Yep.
How worried should Dogs fans be about that?
Well, massively, yeah.
Massively worried.
When we seen Kickow miss the year last year, the year before, or did he miss a big chunk?
Yeah, 2 years ago now.
They really, I think they struggled without him, and obviously Matt Burton being one of their spine, in their spine, and having a lot to do with how they play footy on the footy field. I think they will struggle.
I think it's not going to be the end of the world. They've got Parramatta, then they've got the Sharks, then they've got the Knights, and then they've got the bye.
Soft draw.
I think they're going to come out of it not that hurt.
Yeah, that's
just
really
quietly.
good for them. See, like Kickow, we know the caliber of player he is, but he's such an important part of their attack, not just as a big back rower that they punch into a halfback to then try and get some ruck speed and play off it. Those little jockey shapes he does down short sides to put Marcelo Montoya over, they use him in yardage to generate a bit of momentum and then shift to that right edge. So, yeah, he's such a big part of their attack, and they probably, I'm assuming to be Satili Tupanua will probably start on that left edge for him. And then at 6, will it be Bailey Hayward? Does Drew Hutchison come back in? They have some options there, but no one of the caliber and the output of Matt Burton.
Yeah,
Pressure's on Toby Sexton.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sexy
Yeah.
man.
Just while we're on those points being scored, last year there was nowhere near these points being scored in the first 2 rounds. So, we can see where the game is going, and there's a lot more emphasis on speeding it up and attack in the game. So it was nowhere near this many points. So pretty crazy to see what a year can do in the first couple of rounds.
I think Andrew Webster said the Wars only scored 36 points once last year, and they've already done that in the first 2 rounds. So that says it all, really.
Yeah.
All right, that is round 2 recapped. We're going to come back with a multi. It's time to jump into a multi, but first we're going to recap what happened last week because we managed to go 0 for 4 after finally getting a win the week prior.
And that's it. And we'll move on. Here we go. We recapped it.
Look, big week of upsets. I think all the favourites fell over, so it makes sense that our multi went 0 and 4.
Yeah, we're not even going to recap it.
Well, we did. That's it. Gone. Move on. Let's go. Who's starting?
I'm starting Thursday night. Penrith plus 8.5 against the Storm.
Yeah, like it.
Like it.
Could be the best of the weekend, just quietly.
Thanks, Fogs.
Don't jinx it.
Thanks.
Fog.
How he said the clip that up, Rich, please.
God.
Gerard, you're up next.
Yeah, I'm going to go over the Dutch, and I'm going to go in the New Zealand Warriors and the Sydney Roosters game. I'm going to go the overs at 47.5. It's $1.85.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. I really felt like I put a lot of thought into this one. A lot of points scored in the first 2 rounds of the game, especially for the Roosters last week and the Warriors last week as well. So let's hope they don't figure out how to defend this week.
Fogs.
Stats man.
Cowboys Bronx, one of the best matchups in rugby league. We've talked already a heap about how many points are scored already this year. So give me the overs in that one.
51.5 is the line there. Oscar.
A wise man once told me that if you lose your money, go back and look where you lost it.
Don't tell the people what I tell you all the time.
So I'm going to back the Phins.
Sage advice.
At home against the Tigers, who just put 30 points on, but gee, the Eels were poor, and I don't think that win was as convincing as the
And do you
scoreboard
think
reads.
the Dolphins can bounce back?
I hope they can bounce back.
No, we don't need hope here because hope doesn't win us multis.
I know.
Need certainty.
I know they can bounce back. Phins head-to-head, please.
All right, so we got Panthers plus 8.5, the over between the Wild's and the Roosters, the over between the Bronx and the Cowboys, and then just the Dolphins to win outright, $13.02.
Yes!
That's good.
I feel like when we go under 10...
Trouble.
You know what they say?
This year anyway.
You can eat value, but don't go under 10.
You can eat value, but you can't value eat.
Something like that.
You boys are all right over there.
No, we're not. Okay? We're not.
I'm going through it over here as well, just quiet.
We're about to get out of here. What are we looking forward to this weekend?
I am officially not coaching anymore, but I've done all the recruiting and the sponsorship stuff for the Westerana Panthers. But we're playing a trial. The boys are playing a trial.
Have you handed the coaching reins over to someone else?
Yeah, to one Corbin Sims.
Hey.
Never heard of her.
Captain coach? Is he playing as well?
No, he won't be running around again. But we are heading to a Caloundra over the weekend for our first trial, and I will be on that bus trip because I've organised it. So
I see.
Yeah.
You've changed lanes from head coach to social convener.
now
Events planner.
Playing to your strengths.
I am just going to go drink 1,000 tins when I get there and 1,000 tins on the way home and spray anyone who doesn't play good. That's my journey this year.
That's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So if any locals out up there, get out of my way.
I'm going to squeeze in a little bit of footy nerd stuff before we hit stop on the record. It's going to take me 1 minute.
Lollipop
but
sticks.
I just want to give a shout out to Uncle Cody Walker, who scored his 100th NRL try
Oh, wow.
on the weekend. I just went back and had a look at 5 names: Jonathan Thurston, Ben Hunt, Daly Cherry Evans, Cam Munster, and now Cody.
Some of my favourite names. Just
Some
quietly.
big names from maybe the era just before the modern one, and then some players from the current era. And just looked at the tries and try assists that those players had on average per game, right? So Cam Munster contributes or scores a try 0.87 times each game. 0.85 is Benny Hunt. Ches, 1.05. And then JT is the only other player who I could find this morning with a 1.28 tries or assists per game. the same as Cody Walker, 1.28.
That's
So
incredible.
you're saying Cody Walker's just as good as Jonathan Thurston?
I am not at all saying
on the
that.
record.
But I'm
You're saying
saying
that right now.
well, if he wins the
Cody-
grand final,
Yeah.
he could, statistically.
I just think, statistically, I think it maybe goes a little bit undervalued just how prolific a playmaker Cody Walker has been, considering he debuted at, 26 or 27
Yeah,
or something.
true, yeah.
The numbers he's putting up are dead set elite. So, yeah, shout out to Uncle Cody.
That's deadly.
More South chat. You just had to squeeze it in. Far out. Fogs, anything on?
Yeah, tell us about your tooth.
My tooth. Yeah, I had a bit of emergency dental last night. They ripped out my wisdom
You had
tooth.
a fight with a chicken crimpy. That's what I heard.
Certainly did. Look, I was looking
Got a bit
forward.
lippy in the missus.
Looking forward to Bronx Cows on Friday night, but I've just discovered that my Div 7 pub soccer team is playing at the same time.
Oh,
so
no.
Oh, well, you're injured.
Ruined my evening. Yeah, I
You
might
can't
be.
play.
I
Yeah.
might be.
You can't play. It's, I'll write. You know what? As your parental guardian, I will write you a letter and say that you can't play this weekend.
That's all right. I do my best work on the bench
I'm
anyway.
your-
I'll 2 foot someone, get a red, and then
'Cause
piss off
I'm-
to the
You got KO going on your phone.
I've done it before.
I know you
I've done it before.
Because I'm your daddy.
It's quite the extensive injury list from you over the last 12
Yeah.
months. Broken finger, broken toe.
Yeah.
Missing anything?
Hartlage. He's done Hartlage every week, every time he's been here.
That's probably it. But yeah, it's been expensive.
I bet it has, yeah.
Have we insured for him to be on this show?
Yeah.
We
Just
might
in
need to be,
case-
yeah.
yeah.
Write
Just
that down,
in
Rich.
case this falls on him.
It would happen to me.
We only hope so. Anyway.
Let's get out of here. We'll be back next week.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website